Hello folks, I'm a student of the ninth grade at secondary school in Germany and currently I'm at an internship at the Saxonian Institute of Surface Mechanics. I came across an interesting question about information. Information is a word which is very important in our universe, but many people don't know what it actually is. That's why I'm here with Dr. Norbert Schwarzer to ask for help. Hi Norbert,
Hi, Julius.
can you answer my question? What is information and how is it stored?
I thought this is just about how it is stored. What is information is a new question. But okay. Uh, because the thing is problematic because what is information is philosophical. This internship was all about natural science. But some say the reason for natural science is philosophy, so let's try to answer it. Your first question was, what is information?
That's
Well,
right.
information, good information, so no lies, politicians and stuff, and some bad teachers, is the description of an object. So if you try to describe an object, you produce good information about that very object. And the more perfect the description of the object, the more equal information, the more equal this information becomes towards the object. And some say the perfect description of an object is the object itself. This, of course, makes the whole beaming in Star Trek, those movies, Voyager, Enterprise, and so on, quite understandable, because if everything, like objects, is just information, then you can strip it apart and put it somewhere together, because it's all just information. The second question about how to store information, well, the question is, who wants to store it and where do you want to store it? So you have several options. The universe stores differently than the human beings or biological life forms. The simplest is, because it's well known, the storage of information humans do. So you have books. This is just the storage of information. The information is coded in letters. Those letters are written down in those books. And if it's not total gibberish, it's information in words and codes, and this stores some mirror or some imprint of the object which is being described, or the process which is being described. And nowadays we store a lot of things on computers, and there you have usually storage forms which are of electromagnetic character. DVD, for example, this is optical, which is just electromagnetics, but there the optical information which comes as a light beam with a laser is being put onto this disc with a pattern of holes and no holes. And if there's a hole, it means something is there. No hole means nothing is there. So this is what we call a bit. Information can be stripped down to bits, which means a yes or a no. And in your computer, which just tries to get active and does something you haven't even started, maybe it's a virus, which is also information, it's bad information, or tries to extract information from your hard disk, there it's magnetic fields, where you have north and south pole. Let me draw. And so these little magnets on something you call hard disk, and they are all orientated in some way, and if the head of your reader gets encrypted, he can read out the information stored there. So let's say south up is a no, and north up is a yes. So this one would be 110 yes, yes, no. So you have 3 bits in here, and with a stronger field from the head, you can switch these things and change the information. So it's read and write. This is how the computer does it. And what else did we have? The computer, so it's man doing it. So we have live, right? So
Yes.
live stores information in the cell cores and in the cells itself, in form of this little thing here we call DNA. And life wasn't for life. It's not enough to have a binary code with just yes and no. It uses a for code, some kind of for code. Do you remember? You should have it in school. Do you remember those base pairs which are in the DNA? Desoxyribonucleic acid, it's been called.
Yes.
Do you know the names of these things which in the end code the information
Yes.
in here?
I think I can remember.
Yes.
One is cytosine, thymine, adenine, and guanine.
Yes. So it's 4 instead of just yes and no. It's it can't be yes and no. It's yes, no, yes, no, and no, yes, or whatever. Okay. So now we have human beings storing informations in alphabets, letters, books, something, or with hard disk. Then it's binary. Life does it with those base pairs in the DNA or these RNAs, and we have the universe. As the universe is not empty, it contains something, and as we just said at the beginning, that information is describing an object, and the better it's been described, the more equal it becomes to the object, then the objects must be information. So the universe cannot be having something in it without storing information about it. Where does it store the information, the universe? Well, we think it is doing this in form of internal structures. So the universe must internally be structured. It cannot be a homogeneous space. So if we draw this thing here, diagram something, those lines could not be completely homogeneous. So if I zoom in here, it is impossible that I always just see a line. And at some zooming up, at some scale, I must see a structure. In the real line I just drawn here, it will be a lot of pixels from the pen here. In the universe, it's what we call Planck-sized elements. After this Max Planck, we have little structures, and the size of them is incredibly small, incredibly small. And that there seems to be something becomes clear if we construct a universe-like or a really fundamental experiment where we have a bit like yes or no information. And this we do by, there it is, taking those monster elements from the universe we call black holes. Maybe you've heard about them?
Yes, I've already heard about them.
Okay, we draw a black hole of a certain radius. This has been called the Schwarzschild radius because Schwarzschild was the first who found the mathematical description for these black holes. Well, in fact, he wanted to find the solution for the Einstein field equations for symmetry of revolution, and ended up in finding the... so he solved this problem, but as a byproduct we had the black holes, and since then everybody wonders how they look like. So they're black. Simple as that. So you know, I know that you already had this. What's the radius of this black hole is?
Oh, that's easy. It's a half diameter.
Yeah, that's very clever of you. Okay, it's half the diameter of the black hole, but there's also something connected with the mass. You can connect the radius of this black hole with its mass. So can you do this for me? Do you remember it?
I think so. It's 2 times m times g.
Capital G or small one?
It's a capital G.
Okay.
Divided by c squared.
Okay, so the 2 is clear. The m, what is it?
It's the mass.
The mass of this black hole.
Yes.
This capital G.
It's the gravitational constant, or the Newton's constant.
Yeah, that's 2 names. And the C.
It's the speed of light.
Speed of light in vacuum.
Yes.
Speed of light in vacuum. Okay, so, well, it's pretty easy to describe the size of a black hole simply by knowing its mass. Then the rest is constant. So, now there was this man named Bekenstein, and he said, okay, I send a photon inside this black hole and just want to make sure that the size of the photon is just as big as the size of the black hole. So if it disappeared in it, I only have one information, namely, is it in or is it out? Has it passed the black hole or followed it? So this is a yes-no answer, and as the energy of this photon is known due to its frequency, we call nu here, and the Planck constant, Planck, that's an n here, and we also know that mass is equal to energy, mc squared. We can put this all together, and by throwing photons into this black hole, we see that this black hole grows. And each time we use photons which have exactly the size of the black hole, its size changes in such a way, if we put this in here, that its surface increases in always the same manner, namely by something we call Planck length squared, which each bit of information we throw into the black hole, its surface increases by exactly this value. It's always a constant. It's a quite universal experiment, so we know what the information does with the black hole. It changes its surface. So information seems to be equal to surface. But nobody really knew so far how the black hole actually does the storing of the information. And there's something interesting. If I evaluate the optimum radius of a sphere in n dimensions, where it can store as the maximum of volume, then I get exactly such a curve. Here we have the dimensions, and there we have the radius. Then we get this curve. Of course, it's not a curve, it's points because we have whole dimensions. Dimension 1, dimension 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. If I use this Bekenstein equation for the increase of the surface of the black hole and look for the increase of radius with each of these bits I throw in, I see that the bits are absolutely equal to the number of dimensions, and I get this curve. So this here is Bekenstein, and it perfectly agrees with the maximum volume n spheres in n dimensions, which means dimensions is equal to bits, dimensions equal to information. So we conclude the universe stores information by adding dimensions. That's just it what I want to say about information right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this hard but informative talk.
What was hard about it?
It was a little bit hard, the math.
I haven't even written down the equation for the n-sphere volume. I avoided it just for you, to keep it simple enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we know a little bit more about this topic, and you did it very good because you made it very easy. I mean, you could make it a lot more harder.
Harder. For homework, you go from here to there, using this.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You must be the first pupil saying thank you to a homework.
Now, there might be many questions I still have to ask, but before I can ask them, I will have to take this information and store it completely.
Yeah, that's a good point. And make the homework.
Yes.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye and thanks.